Really, hold on. Really, hold on. Okay, so I know the stream is pretty sudden. Hold on, I'm gonna announce it first. Okay, so oh god, I can hear myself. It's driving me insane. Hold on, I gotta get the links and shit. Oh god, I can hear myself. It's driving me insane. Hold on, I gotta get the links and shit. Hold on, I gotta get the links and shit. Oh god, I can hear myself. It's driving me insane. Hold on, I gotta get the links and shit. Hold on, I gotta get the links and shit. Okay, so I should be on. I should probably check the audio. We'll see how. So I apologize for the audio in the last video. If you watch it when like, hey, there's no audio here. There is. It's just extremely, really fucking quiet. So by some fucking miracle, I talk loud enough that you can hear. If you turn your volume all the way up, you can kind of sort of hear it. So it's not. I was very sad and upset at first. I thought I just like record all that. I was very excited. I recorded for like a couple hours. I thought I did all that for nothing. But you can still go back and watch it if you really want to. But and I tried to see if I could fix the audio, but I couldn't. What happened is that I connected to the wrong mic because what happened is my computer started like glitching out, and then it stopped seeing the mic, so I had to reconnect the mic. But then what I actually did is I connected to my headphone mic, which is my shittier mic. That has like a weird background noise and doesn't sound and sounds like shit. So I decided to make this video as a sort of like, I guess, like apology to make it up in case anyone wants to see anything. I decided it'd be interesting to, because I kind of lied because I did say that I wasn't planning on doing any of the story, but I think I will read the story. I'll go over some stuff that I think I missed maybe, but I think I will go over the stories because what I noticed that, where's my update post? Because I noticed that while people go over the stories, they don't really talk about the art. I thought that could be interesting to like, let's just go over the art and talk about. I thought I posted that on like, let's go over the art and talk about like, you know, its composition and stuff. Not to say I'm an authority of all things art, but I do like just sitting down and trying to like digest the art and maybe think about why they picked the art for this specific story article, because I know sometimes the art isn't always like one-to-one, and part of the reason for that is because of how the Magic the Gathering process works. Like it's you're just limited by how much time you have, so you can't always get the art and lore perfectly in sync. And also sometimes they don't have art of like all the little specific characters, so they use like art as like a representation. Why is there internal? What link thumb? Okay. If I cut the link thumbnail. What's it on about, bro? Okay, hold on. Okay, I just might need to post it onto like a Radley server, or something. I don't like promoting myself too much, so I don't want to be annoying. But oh, hold on, someone said something. Actually, I shouldn't. Gonna in public. I want to see what they said, but I don't want to put them on blast. Yeah. Okay. So I'll drop that there. Turn night shift off so I can see all the art in all its glory. I'm also gonna check if there's any spoilers. So if there's anything I missed. So according to Silas Jones B1X, apparently I missed some of the okay. Well, the person writing the notations is Tezzeret, which makes sense given their disdain of like religion and stuff, because they come from the plane Esper. It's actually a very interesting characterization of Tezzeret, because if you know anything from the plane of Esper, and Esper is like this idea that you can improve everything using like this metal called Ethereum. So their idea is going to convert everyone into like metal bodies using this Ethereum, but they're also running out of Ethereum. So it's not like a realistic or like a goal that seems like achievable until and then there's this whole thing with Jump where they find more Ethereum and Jump, but the Ethereum's like fucked up because it's like corrupted by red mana. Well, I shouldn't say corrupted, but it's just influenced by red mana. But and so Tezzeret has had to deal with like, I think, I don't remember if it's as a religious institution specifically, but it does something akin to like the idea of like this like great work of like pushing, like using a large like pushing this like sort of like large institutional way of doing things onto the populace. So it makes sense that Tezzeret has a general distrust of like religion. I'm gonna see if Esper has a religion, because it would make sense, because it has a white. I'm not saying white is the only color that can be religious, but like white and black and Magic are often like use religion for their own ends, and then also it would make sense for like the great work. Which is the MTG wiki. It's not the MTG wiki. I wouldn't really turn to it for like completely accurate stuff. Normally, I would just go to like an article or something. But yeah, the Ether Swarm of Esper, consisting of humans, Vedelka, and even sphinxes, are dedicated to infusing all life on Esper with Ethereum. The quest is called the Noble Work. The Ignoble Flesh is a term for a Spencer group who takes this philosophy to the extreme. Its adherents believe flesh is fallible and impure and should be shed. The eventual replacement of the entire body with Ethereum. Very few achieved goal are called, the very few who have achieved the goal are called Aether Liches. But like, is there like a religion? They may not have like a specifically named faith, but it does make sense that preview here. It does make sense that Tezzeret might have like a distrust of religious institutions, given like the corruption present on Esper. There's probably spoilers elsewhere, but I kind of want to search the internet for them. I already talked about this art before. It's very interesting, like how the cube is glowing, everything else is white except for Tezzeret. So like this cube might be important. Also, according to this commenter, Silas Jones, I missed some of the notations. I don't know what notations I missed. I thought I got all of them. Let me just double check. Is it this one? Tezzeret, I've acquired additional materials to help you familiarize yourself with Pinnacle space. As you previously said, your system of origin did not know Pinnacle nor traditional interstellar travel. Agents on Infinite Guideline Station are working on the encrypted data you requested, but I have put together a brief based on Pinnacle first contact literature provided to the two Sothera species encountered when the Pinnacle arrived. Did I miss that? It sounds like something I might have missed. I don't know how to say which ones you missed, but you missed the first. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And 5 ones after that, then you missed one sprinkled in between the ones you found and missed one at the end. I think something you missed. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna go through and look at the notes. We'll just see if I missed anything. We are the fodder of the children's tales. Then are we? Then are we? Good. Let's play on that as we drip feed information on my origins to our agents. But I'm not interested in ejects. I am ejecta. You told me there are rumors of technology people transcending the chaos wall. Where is it? If this weft and your eternity columns can cross the planet eternities, why can't I? So, okay, so it seems like someone lost probably. It seems like someone lost a Planeswalker Spark, but interesting that the eternity columns can cross the planet eternities. So there is a connection. So one of the things we see in Magic is that certain planes need to be like miniature versions of the multiverse, or at least like mirror intrinsic things within the multiverse. The most obvious example would be Kaldheim, and how like the tree and the way the different worlds move and collide with each other are akin to how the planes across the multiverse. We know planes can like physically collide. Like I believe Arcavios, the plane Strixhaven's from, was originally 2 planes that collided into one, and that's why they had like the mana tangles. But the Kaldheim basically proved that, you know, omen paths were possible and were used by the Phyrexians as like a sort of like as a way to like figure out how to get the invasion tree to work. So similarly, I think Edge of Eternities might also be a sort of mirror about some fundamental important aspect of the Magic the Gathering multiverse. Because it seems like the quote unquote chaos wall is basically how the Blind Eternities function, where it's just like this like raw nothingness, but also it's like full of like chaos and like mana and ether. So it's possible that how this might be like a sort of representation about how like the greater multiverse works somehow. Like all the like if you see like the pot, because we mentioned, okay, so previously in this article it was mentioned that basically how the Edge of Eternities works is basically like a donut. So this like colored in version is like the habitable zone. This is where they hang out. And then you have the chaos wall, which is like this. Whoops. And then you have like a pocket like universe somewhere here within the chaos wall, which is within the chaos wall. And then you have the other, I forget what it's called, the other wall that the universe is expanding into. So what it might be implying is that the chaos wall is something akin to the Blind Eternities, and maybe each multiverse is like its own little like quote unquote, not literally like a pocket dimension, but like functionally that's how like basically sit in this like little like ring. And also Edge of Eternities is an interesting name because it makes me, I don't really think about it, but I guess the idea is that so they basically like they basically live on sort of like the edge of the universe and it's expanding like constantly outwards. So it's an eternally expanding edge that's expanding outwards like this. And we do know like I don't think the chaos wall gets bigger. I think it stays static. It's the other wall, the outside wall that gets bigger, like as it's changing. So it's like the ring is basically getting thicker. It's not like the ring is like getting a bigger hole in the middle. It's just getting thicker. I don't know what that would mean for the greater multiverse, but I think that's what the implication is. Where is it? If this is weft and you're why can't I? If something is incomplete about this place's understanding of such things. So I don't know if, because, okay, so it seems like it does indeed like seem like Tezzeret's writing most, if not all of these, because it seems like the first one is Jace and then the rest of it is Tezzeret's response, which means Silas Jones is probably right. But if this is true, Tezzeret has a Planeswalker card already. So either his spark is like contained, he gets a spark somehow in the story, like he lost it and he somehow gets it back, which is possible because we know he can store sparks and stuff. And there was like the Aether Spark, whatever, from Aether Drift. I don't think he has that, but it could be something similar. Or it could be that there's something else preventing him from planeswalking, which has happened before. For example, Ixalan had the like Zor shit that prevented Jace from just planeswalking away, and anybody else on the plane from planeswalking away. So it could be the weft is interfering with it. I don't know. Like the most obvious answer seems to be that someone just lost their spark. But your universe's primitive understanding of magic will be interesting. It says it's your universes. So this is probably what was created by Jace at the end of Dragonstorm. But I find that curious if that's the case, because this plane seems like have its own entire history. Now it's possible that time is just like weird, especially since it's eternally expanding out. So what might be happening is like maybe things were like faster, like proportionally or something at some point. But this plane seems to have its own entire history. So I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if like if it was just moving faster up until this point, as it expanded, it started slowing down. I don't know if it was basically made with its own history, like if it's an artificial plane, if it just happened to like get created with all its history, or if it was like a bunch of existing planes that somehow got mashed together. Your universe's primitive understanding of magic will be to our benefit. You've only scratched the surface of the potential of this mock site. It is rich with magical energy, not unlike my own Ethereum. I can work wonders with it your people never dreamed of. So, as I mentioned previously, mocks, it seems like they're like basically referencing like some of like the, you know, like Chrome mocks, of course, the iconic card Jack and the Mox, which is a staple in every commander deck. Mox Amber, all these cards that basically provide mana. So the idea might be that like Mox might be like an actual substance, like an important substance to take note of in Magic the Gathering, and it's like a retroactive explanation. The development is something akin to the planar bridge. Oh, okay. So if you don't know, the planar bridge is basically what was used by Nicol Bolas, and like Tezzeret is being forced along, but Tezzeret didn't want to do it. But Nicol Bolas and Tezzeret, they transferred like a bunch of the Amonkhet Eternals to Ravnica before the Omen Path arc happened. So this is before like anyone could. This was before like non-planeswalkers could easily have a way to move back and forth. I mean, Magic the Gathering's history is weird because before that, anybody could basically move the plane. It was a lot more loosey-goosey. But planeswalkers could, like, you know, were basically gods. And then the mending happened. Planeswalkers were nerfed, and then it became basically impossible to travel from plane to plane if you weren't like already a planeswalker. And planeswalkers were more like normal people who could just travel from planes. And then now you have the Omen Paths, which is like if you're a planeswalker, you can kind of just planeswalk from at any point. But if you're not a planeswalker, you can potentially planeswalk using, not planeswalk, but you can potentially traverse the planes using Omen Paths or something akin to them. Here in this magically primitive but technologically advanced Exoverse. This is very interesting that like, because I guess we see Magic explore, like it's because mostly it takes inspiration from a lot of medieval stuff. It's like we've seen a lot of like not modern, not super high tech like places, but they have like a really like, you know, really cool magic. But this is the first time we've seen a place that seems like sort of lean the opposite direction. Where like, sure, mana and magic exists, but they're not as good with it as they are with technology. They have a better understanding of technology than they do with magic, which is a very interesting exploration. Also, Exoverse is interesting. What does he mean by that? Not Zenith from Undertale. Exoverse. Well, exo means like outermost. So when he says Exoverse, this could imply that the Edge of Eternities is literally on the edge of the multiverse. Because if we take it literally as we can, exo basically means outside, or like, you know, outside of, and then verse, universe, like a place. So it'd be like outside universe, outside place. So what it might be implying is that it literally like is a ring basically around the entire multiverse, and that what the people are thinking is a pocket dimension within the chaos wall could literally actually be like the like different planes and stuff, more than one planes. I mean, it could be possible that it would look like just like one pocket universe, because we do know the planes like don't necessarily physically like exist in the blind eternities as you would think. They can like kind of exist like on top of each other, sort of, even though it can be like different distances. Anyway, it was not something I expected. Perhaps this technology is a means of breaching the chaos wall and returning to the multiverse. Ooh, okay. So I guess I did miss something very, very important. It does seem like that what's behind the chaos wall is the rest of the multiverse, and that this universe is so what this actually is here. This is the rest of the multiverse, and then what we're seeing is Edge of Eternities. The name references the fact that this universe is sitting at the very edge of the multiverse, and it's also eternally expanding, and the multiverse is presumably infinite. So. But also, it's kind of weird because like they say the chaos wall isn't expanding, which you would think it might because there's new planes being made. But like I said, planes aren't necessarily like, think of planes as strictly physical, as a physical existence within the blind eternities is not helpful. So they could be coming into existence and being destroyed or whatever, but it may not be always like physically referenced to the chaos wall. Menon, our context procure additional technical specifications of guideline station for me, and steal a code book and a dictionary of standard technical terms. I I tire of your universe's jargon. Okay, look, you call it jargon, I call it fucking cool nerd shit, all right? Who doesn't want to learn about fucking blue shift and red shift and warp travel, all right? All these resources to do what I could once wield in the palm of my hand. For all your advanced technological prowess, I still dwarf your greatest engineers. You are like children, unaware of the far greater powers lurking just beyond your sight. Damn, okay. I don't know if he's referring to, I mean, maybe, I mean, I guess he might have gotten the planar gate removed, so that might be what he's referring to. 100% sure what, I mean, I assume something happened, so he's not like at full power, but what Pinnacle doesn't say here is the implied threat of isolation, cooperate, or be confined. They have the military might to dissuade any attempts at seizing any eternity column. That makes sense, because there's no way that the Monoist and the like Palatinate would have not just like taken that shit if they could. And 100 more from which to launch a counterattack if necessary. Even if you could wrestle control from one, they are by nature a one-way trip. Interesting. But that also, I mean, that does make sense. It makes me wonder about the Pinnacle, because the Pinnacle seems pretty like hoity-toity, like Star Trek Alliance coded, but I'm wondering if that's like potentially pointing at like maybe some darker implications. I mean, I'd be kind of surprised. It kind of seems like the main bad guys are the Palatinate and the Monoist. I have anticipated your curiosity into my former organization and summarized and appended the organization workings of the Earthros Combine below. Unfortunately, I did not have access to the high security wing at the core. Yeah, figures. I mean, that's about what they're very secretive. It's about what we expect. That is a lot of words to say. Entropic death. I mean, this is the part we read. To say entropic death cult. Is this follow real or just some phenomena to which they retroactively ascribed meaning? To me, okay, if there's some, I'm wondering if, because if this plane is the one made by Jace, or Jace somehow cast them into this place, I'm wondering if somehow it's like maybe like loot or Vraska or something they're hearing. And the thing is, we do know in real life stars and like celestial phenomenon can produce like radio signals. They can be kind of like picked up, but they don't like, I mean, they might sound pretty, but they don't sound like someone like talking or giving you Bible scriptures. So it's hard to say. Like it could be that, could be, I mean, gods do exist in certain planes, so it could be a god. I'd be very surprised if Jace kind of made a plane with a god. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be impossible. Like, I'm not saying it's like completely out of character. I just like, Jace doesn't give me the kind of vibe as a character who, if he had his own plane or a plane somehow based on a psyche, it would have a bunch of gods running around in it. It makes sense that it would be high tech because he does like the plane he's from has like the giant like rings. I'm probably gonna make like Radley, if they're watching this, really upset, but he has the, hold on. Are you ready now? Vryn. So it's like Vryn does have, just not send it again. Okay, you did. So Vryn does have like is a bit more technologically advanced as far as the planes across the multiverse go. So it makes sense that if, see, okay, I know I'm saying this, but I don't 100% know if this is like based on any way in Jace's psyche. I'm assuming it kind of is to an extent, but it could also be just coincidentally, like it's a super high tech plane. Is this Fallout real or some phenomenon which they scrapped? Menon reached out to our local Monoist contacts and see what you can find out. I've had enough of would-be gods. Yeah, I can imagine. It seems like I will never be free. Critical fools with their boots on the necks of non-believers. So I assume he's actually referring here to like his experience with Esper and the idea of like the upgrading everyone's bodies. It could also be, there's probably some other reference I might be missing, but primarily my mind was like leans towards Esper and the idea that like the council is corrupt. A constant irritation in the multiverse, and apparently here as well. With a tunnel vision on death cultures, they should be easily enough avoided. Men this document is woefully out of date. The Zoldaran Supervoid is evident out of every viewpoint in the system, and the Javelin is in system. Terminate our field agent who sent this. I won't tolerate incompetence. Okay, that does explain. The fact that Cesar does explain that. Menon, I want all the information on this Fomari Eldrazi conflict and all pinnacle research onto the Eldrazi immediately. All other tasks are secondary. To think I might find the answer that has eluded me for so long, to that damnable vault all the way out here. Tezzeret, please find attached a local handbook of the Sothera system. You know much of this already, but it wouldn't hurt to familiarize yourself with the pinnacle documentation for new arrivals. I applaud the cancellation of the agent who provided the outdated materials. Their security clearance has gotten access to a classified dossier you'll want to see. I've appended it now. I have thought Kavu and unintelligent creatures unique to Dominaria. This place echoes the multiverse in strange ways. I see it everywhere I look, now to make use of it. Yeah, so like I said, like Kaldheim, this seems to echo the multiverse somehow, or be like to be some sort of mirror or like miniature version. Or maybe big version, I guess, depending. Because if the multiverse literally is, if this literally is the edge of the multiverse, and there's like shit like, and then the multiverse exists within this great like this, within the chaos wall, then this, I guess that would mean this like everything's, this is actually the actual multiverse. It's like the big, to scale thing. We both know that the station on Earth does far more than what they say, but the chances of non-ill voice surviving the pressure of the gas giant are slim, so the lie persists. I will continue on recruiting current Earth Combine employees for intelligence as to their actual project. As requested, here's a glossary of terms related to your time in Sothera. I've highlighted some of the terms you've been unfamiliar with here. Entire list is appended to this mission. I can see kind of why Tezzeret's annoyed, because this is kind of like a fucking, yeah, here Jason's like giving you fucking homework. Not only I mean, if you're like a fucking lore nerd, or if this is like the fucking time of your life, and Jace is giving you this shit, you're like jumping with joy. But if you're like a fucking, you just want to, I don't know, do Tezzeret shit, it's probably annoying as fuck. Okay. Oh, they actually did do, I feel kind of bad reading this now because they did do audio, but I will do it. Fragments of Caveron that has crumbled away constantly, bits of the ruined half of the Cav homeworld drifted off into space. The Cav Memorial Navy tracks and maps every, the Cav Memorial Navy tracks and maps every part of the collapsing sections, being charged with imperative to protect and retrieve the remains of the world. But there is only so much they can recover at once. The piece which Harkonnen Sergeant Farah Katolor and her small squad have been sent to investigate broke off decades ago. It was marked as a possible memorial vault, one of the precious preserves of Cav artifacts. Cav. The KMN, unable to investigate at the time, continued tracking it. A piece of the world which slipped away, tumbling out the wormhole, a ring of comets and ice at the very edge of the Sothera system. Only now, as it floats so far from home, do they have the resources to dispatch a mission to investigate. This is interesting because I kind of was under the impression that like I guess I didn't expect the priests of the will be that far out. So I guess they're spread out all over like the solar system, which kind of gives a little bit more like narrative potential for narrative conflict. Like if it's flying in a direction and another faction finds it first, as opposed to like always having to go to the very like the world itself. Once again, the designs of the Kavu seem to be like more clunky. Like their ships seem to be more clunky. Kind of like scrapped together, which makes sense because the world is dying. So they probably just have like less resources, less ways to refine it. Obviously, very red, so you know, like their alignment, very red and warm colors. On the long journey out, Farah Katolar and her squad passed directly by Caveron. That is. Okay. Should I be okay? So Caveron, that is, are the parts of the world that's falling, crumbling apart, and Caveron that is like the part that's being held together by like technology prevents it from crumbling immediately, but it is slowly falling. And as Farah Katolar watches the glowing red and orange of the broken world drifting outside the ship, a new understanding hums in her belly. Here in the incandescent catastrophe is the reason for all her missions. This is why she and all Cav must hold on so tightly to every resource and every artifact. The people are balancing on the edge of this destruction. I mean, it's got a weird point for me to make, but I guess this means, I wonder if this means that Cav will have an artifact theme, because there probably will be, just because there's obviously so many machines, and we have artifact planeswalkers, well, not artifact, legendary planeswalkers that care about artifacts, and like we have like spacecrafts and stuff. So I'm wondering if the Kavu mechanically, because we have seen like, for example, on Neon Dynasty, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, there are new cards, dude. I'm just fucking blind. We have seen them, for example, on Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, that there are like red cards that care, like red can care a lot about artifacts. Let's see. Apharael, Dreaming Acolyte. When Apharael enters, draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact card. So to see, it cares about artifacts. During your turn, Apharael has Death Touch. I'm really the Flawless Blessing. I can prove it. I'm curious as to mean if this means we're getting like dual color factions, but I mean I wouldn't complain. It would just be interesting. I'm just wondering because we're also getting like the dual lands, but they kind of dropped out in like a lot of sets. I'm wondering if this is like if this is supposed to like imply that we're getting dual like multicolor factions would be kind of a big thing. Because I could see the insect people as being green black, but then again, these are all like legendary, so this could be like outliers. Like this happens in every Magic set, where like even if it's a monocolor set, you are gonna have like a couple of, like multicolor cards, maybe some like mana fixing. So I mean, I wonder if there's any other spoilers actually. I'm gonna try to keep it to spoilers and not like any leaks because I like prefer. Okay, not rumors. Mutavault. So I mean, these I don't think are necessarily indicative of the factions they're part of because they are like commanders, and usually the commanders like, you know, they want you to have like a little fun with them. So sometimes they have like extra colors or two. Just leaks. It seems like landfall is gonna be a thing. I mean, okay, I said they care about artifacts. They might care. Landfall might make more sense because their planet's falling apart. Even her boisterous squad is quiet. She normally has trouble getting this shut up, but normally they're doing endless shifts ferrying package artifacts off-world to the diadem stations, not watching the ongoing devastation of their planet fall past. Then they clear their gravity well and the ship accelerates into black space. They don't talk about their planet again until they've nearly arrived at their destination. But Farrakha Tolor knows them well enough to tell her thinking about that glowing ruin of Cavaron that is. She is too. It's Rakora who brings it up again. There's plenty to be done at home. Who'd we annoy to get sent off so far, Sarge? We've investigated a memorial vault, Farrakha Tolar says. It's an honor, not a punishment. She herself doesn't mind where they're sent. And their mission serves the KMN. She can keep her squad safe. Together. Successful. Interesting. So her squad seems to be like a sort of family. Like she doesn't care just about like the artifacts. She cares about like the, you know, bigger picture. Rakuro doesn't seem satisfied. In that time beyond and long now, when we claim a new planet, when we claimed Cavaron tomorrow, I'm there. Takalok lets a grunt of agreement slip between his oversized teeth, and Dornock is a full body nod, his green scales glinting. So I'm wondering if there's like a bit of like Magic the Gathering loves like exploring tropes, and that's fine, especially with like the idea is like it's kind of like Magic the Gathering spin on it with like the color and stuff. So I'm definitely getting the vibe that this might also be like the sort of like the warrior race like stereotype. Like you see in a lot of sci-fi, like you're Klingon, like you just live for battle, kinda. But I mean, I don't think it's really fair because they're clearly not as one another. They clearly have like a purpose beyond like just battle and like honor. But I definitely gets the vibe like if they start like they're not afraid to fight or scrap, while the other factions might be like less willing unless it's like a specific people. The Amudians are like wildcat thieves. Dornock says when their terror somebody else is complete, I'm there too. So this also gives us like a little bit of extrapolation on maybe some like the philosophy behind like how they view the bug people, because it's easy to go like, oh well, they're just attacking the bug people after they do all their shit. But I guess from their perspective, it might be like we were here first, but people came into our system. They're basically an invasive species from their perspective. Although I wouldn't agree with that myself. But from the pilot's chair, Haranor disagrees. Better to start a new cav world, not pick out alien leftovers. Yeah. Also, do you really want to fight them? But also, Theric should be. Farrakha Tolor cuts off, approaching target. The ship slows, and the white edge of a structure emerges from the darkness. Slowly, it resolves into a clear shape, a construction nearly 20 kilometers across. Yes, the size of a memorial vault, but completely unlike anything Farrakha Tolor has ever seen. Not exactly a cube, not exactly a sphere. The structure consists of endless smooth white arcs, etched through with what looks like a dark single unbroken line. Also sorry for not reading chat. I'm kind of jumping back and forth. I'll check to see if anyone said anything. If you say anything, I don't respond. That's sorry. I'll try. Sorry for not reading chat. I'm paying more attention to that. I don't know why I went to Twitter instead of Twitch. Okay, well, we'll check later. But completely unlike anything Furcatolar has ever seen. Not exactly cube, not exactly spear. The structure consists of endless smooth white arcs, etched through what looks like a single dark unbroken line. Image it, she orders. Haranor stabs his claws into the controls, forming the same pattern twice. Makes no sense. What? Are scopes just returning white noise? It can't resolve an image of installation. Like it's blind to what we're seeing. Sounds like maybe some Eldrazi shit, maybe? We'll see, because Eldrazi, when they destroy stuff, it sometimes looks like kind of like just like white chalky shit. Furcatolar's belly fills with dread. She feels herself in the long now on the edge of one of the deepest mining pits on Caveron that is, smelling rust and looking down into the far darkness. Fine, she says, keeping her voice even. Her squad is counting on her. The Caveron Memorial Navy is counting on her. Her people are counting on her. We'd better get on it and out before any Wildcat teams detect this. Haranor set us down. So if you don't remember, the Wildcat teams are like just like random like people basically like looking for shit to like, you know, sell. Like, they're just kind of flying around. Yeah, they're like scavengers, Wildcat miners. An independent ship and crew not affiliated with a larger organization. Most likely it's freelancers, smugglers, and small-time miners. Haranor glides the ship to an outcropping on the structure, the apex of one of its arcs, and lands gracefully. Once they're completely stable, Furcatolar orders the drill to be activated. Like most of the Covenant ships, the KMN ships, this was once a mining vessel and can still extract resources if needed. The massive drill extends easily from the front of the ship. The flick of Haranor's claw, glowing yellow energy dances out, sprawling around the drill as it extends toward the nearest wall. Also, sorry if you hear someone's taking a shower, but sorry if you hear that in the background. Also, sorry if you hear my fan, but the moment it breaks through, Furcatolar straightens up, the longest horns of her crown nearly scraping the ceiling of the little ship. She hadn't realized how hunched she'd been, how intently she'd been watching the drill. The eeriness of the structure had her wondering, for just a moment, if they wouldn't be able to breach it. But by the time they powered off the ship, geared up, stuck their rebreathers in, and clomped their grab boots down, it all felt like a normal mission. Well, not exactly normal. The area they stepped into beyond the drilled hole is a spacious carved room with semi-opaque white walls. They can see through the walls enough to make out dim blue lights coming from deeper in the structure. There are rooms similar to this one, all chained together like cells. All the buildings and stations Furcatolar has ever known are made of straight lines and dark, solid metal. This structure is unnatural. I mean, this also fit with like with this art, like it's all straight lines, like chunks of metal, just with like their architecture in general. Furcatolar scratches the ground and places her belly flat against the floor. Through the vibrations, she can feel stinging the next cell over. There's an object-headed sensor, an artifact of some kind. It must be. This place is clearly no memorial vault, but there's the chance that it might hold even greater treasures. She stands. Rakoro, use your B-Max on the wall. Ever eager, Rakoro slips her axe free and takes a swing down onto the wall. The bright yellow blade of the energy penetrates the material easily, and in 3 strokes she's opened a hole for them. The wall, though, doesn't crumble beneath Rakoro's blade. It peels back and curls up like skin. Furcatolar ignores the strange material and leads them to the next room. There it is, the object she felt. An orb glowing and swirling bright blue electric light, resting on top of a thin white pedestal. The orb is not large. Furcatolar figures that she could probably pick it up on her own, but it hums with a strange power. Unusual, unique, powerful. The sort of artifact that would make this long trip worth it. Takaluk taps his scanner with a claw and growls. No clear read, Furcatolar asks. The density of information in this thing is dense. Wise words. He gives her a grin behind his thick fangs. But that's all I got. Let's take it to the ship. We'll need. Well, I just want to check if Furcatolar the legendary card we got revealed, or is that no? It's Tunuk. Also, interesting bit of green, like the idea of like, because if you don't know, I've talked about this before, but green as a color, like philosophy tends to have like a very strong connection to history in Magic the Gathering, and it's like the idea of accepting the world for as it is instead of like trying to change it. It can kind of be seen in like the, I guess the Kavu kind of, at least they're trying to like preserve their history so they can learn from it, but they also can't really stop their planet from crumbling, so they just kind of like gotta like kind of roll with it in a way. So kind of interesting, potentially interesting take on red green that I can't really speak on until we get more about the factions colors, because this could be just more about just Tunuk. But we'll see. Didn't I just let's take it to the ship. We'll need Sarge, Rakor interrupts. Didn't I just put a hole there? Verkatora looks back at the wall they just stepped through. There's a charred line where Rakora's axe hacked it open, but the hole itself is gone. Cut another one. Tukaluk tries to scan the wall while Rakora chops through it again, but Katolar orders him to back off and let her do her work. It doesn't matter how or why the wall reseals itself, only that they can get it open again and return to the ship with the artifact. Rakora clenches her broad jaw and has to lean hard into the axe with each blow, but eventually the wall splits open wide enough, again curling back. Eronar through first, prepare the ship. Once he's on his way, Katolar turns to the others. Rakora, watch that this wall doesn't close again. Takolok and Dornlock carry the artifact together. There is no artifact, no swirling blue orb, no anything. The worm is perfectly empty. Where is it? Katolar demands, but it's clearly gone. Not even a mark where the pedestal was. Utterly impossible. Gone. I'm just saying, if this was black people, they'd be fucking gone. White people shit, bro. I know they're aliens and race doesn't apply. It's a construct, but white people shit, bro. Katolar feels a dread welling up in her belly again. There must be some explanation. They stand in silence for a moment before a radio hiss jars from their astonishment. Weird, no control, drill, wall. Paranoid's voice comes through, warped and fluctuating, like someone trying to shout over a chaos of background noise. Katolar spins around, and when he says wall, hoping she can stop it from sealing again. It's already too late. Not only has the wall resealed, but even the charred line is gone. Rakaro immediately tries to chop through it again, but this time she can't even get the energy of her blade to pierce the surface. Katolar orders her to stop trying. Someone must have. She pauses, trying to make sense of the senseless disappearance. A wildcat team must have found a way to transport the artifact away. We need to. Without warning, the walls change their composition. What had been nearly transparent pale white coloring snaps into opaque opalescence, illuminating the whole curved room with a pulsating light. Glossy black beads, like eyes, emerge from a center of the ceiling. But when Katolar looks at the spot again, they're gone. And she can't be sure they weren't just an illusion caused by a strange new light. I was kind of hoping there'd be new art. I guess we got that. Hold on, I'm gonna see if there's. I was kind of hoping I'd be able to look at a bunch of new art. Was the idea? Actually, I don't just want to make a shittier version of the story reading. I might just read the story anyway, though. But like, if we go to Edge of Eternities 1. Well, that's interesting. So obviously some sort of equipment. Gold, probably with a Palatinate. Oh, this is interesting too. Looks like someone doing web travel, I assume. Like some sort of Kavu. Like the way everything stretches create a line of action, even though he's just sitting static in a chair. It's it's so fast, even the stuff you can see it influencing the inside. I think about it. I want to do this because I guess maybe I just wait for the set to come out and then go through the art of each of the cards individually. You know what I mean? This is new art too. I don't know. This is my first time doing all this. I gotta think about how I want to do this. But where's that orb again? But without warning, the walls change their composition. Glossy black beads like eyes emerge from the corner of the ceiling. But when Katolar was at the spot again, they're gone. You can't be sure they weren't just an illusion caused by the strange new light. What the new illumination does certainly reveals two arches in the wall, places where the opulence turned to dull blue, doorways, movement from the corner of her eye. But it's just Dornick slipping bottles from his belt. In the space of a single deep breath, he drinks down a full set of bright green combat stimulants, as he's been trained to do before battle. I mean, okay. I mean, I guess better safe than sorry, but hopefully it doesn't have any negative effects. Katolar gestures for them to stick together and approach one of the arches. As she hoped, this part of the wall slides open, allowing them to pass. On the other side is a long corridor with many doorways along it, and one at the end. Ornar might be able to guide them if he can lock on their armor, but when Katolar tries the radio again, there's only an unusual oscillating static and a couple choppy words. Limit, can't. She gives up on the radio and leads them down the corridor to the door at the end. The walls slide open, she can feel the bulky shapes of Dornock jump behind her, excited and ready to fight. There's a creature in the next room, definitely not part of any Wildcat team. She holds up a hand for her squad to stay in formation. The creature appears like a Manu. Do we know what a Manu is in Magic the Gathering? I don't know. I don't remember them saying anything about that in the Planeswalker's Guide, but maybe. Man, it's very funny looking. This guy's like game art on a Magic card. That's a sumo money, just a new thing. Within arms and legs and a crownless head, but the head doesn't have the weird eyes, the weird white eyes of a Mondi or its tiny nose and mouth. It's a featureless oval. The body is too stretched out and its skin isn't right. Other than the protruding arms and legs in its head, it is just lanky blob of oily substance, appearing to drip into a puddle on the ceiling. So this seems kind of like Eldrazi because some of the Eldrazi like have the, like would distort things basically, but this doesn't really match like any of the like because all the Eldrazi kind of sort of have like a aesthetic, like so you could tell like what like kind of Eldrazi brood they are, but I can't really think of the one that was like a puddle or like very liquidy and like pure like so white. Like I'd be surprised if this was. Rakuro has her B-Max out. Tukaluk put his scanner away and extended his own short energy blades. And Dornock's eyes are practically glowing with the power of his combat simulates and his readiness to tear apart anyone in their way, battle postures. But Ferricatolar keeps her hand up in restraint. The creature's not attacking them. It doesn't even seem to notice the presence of the four mighty calf warriors. Maybe it's not a creature at all, just part of this strange structure. Keeping her head raised, she takes a step closer to the thing. It shows no reaction. Cautiously, she approaches until she's close enough to poke it with a claw. She does not poke it with a claw, but she does gesture her squad to follow her as she moves past it, toward the closest doorway. Ferricatolar, already through the doorway into another corridor, tries to guess their next direction. When Tukaluk shouts, she turns just in time to see one arm of the thing descended, oozing like a tentacle near Tukaluk. It touched me. Tukaluk's big teeth are set in a fierce growl, and he holds his blade highly, even as the oily appendage is withdrawing. He looks ready to lunge at the creature, but Ferricatolar orders a sharp, out of the room now. Once the door slid shut and Tukaluk has confirmed he was not wounded or stained by the touch, or even stained by the touch, it still might not be good. If this is like some Eldrazi, or it could be Phyrexian. I really doubt it's Phyrexian, because Phyrexian have famously black oil. If this is like some weird Eldrazi shit, then for all we know, this is some like weird corruptive influence. Ferricatolar fixes them all with a glare, tilting his head forward so the horns of her crown are practically in their faces. We find the artifact, we get out of here. They're still jumpy, unnerved by this horrible place. Ferricatolar can feel the jumpiness in her own belly, along with the deep desire to find a way back to the ship and simply fly away from here, all the long way back home. But even if they knew how to leave, they absolutely cannot leave empty-handed. Yeah, the fuck you can. I'm fucking gone, bro. Not when there's clearly an object worth bringing home. She's their sergeant. She needs to keep them focused, however strange things get. Find the artifact. That's it. Then we go. Understood? When she's certain they're all back with her, she returns her attention to the corridor before them, wondering which doorway to take. A cluster of glossy black beads hang above one of the doors. Eyes. Haronar's choppy voice echoes the radio. Move. I can't. Appears to be moving. Repeat. Ferricatolar meets the alarmed expression of her squad. Repeat. Haronor. The structure's moving, but the radio remains silent. She looks back at the corridor. The black beady eyes are not there. Tukaluk, who's closest to her, and she turns to him to verify that the eyes weren't a trick of her mind. But something is very wrong with Tukaluk. There's a white streak down his face, a jagged line from his crown to his teeth. For a long, baffled moment, Ferricatolar can't make any sense of it. Beside the white, a green fluid appears, swells blood. The white is bone, the bone of his skull. I think this is some Eldrazi shit. It's probably, I don't know if it's a new Titan. It would be interesting, I guess, if it was a new Titan, but then like it could just be because each of the Eldrazi Titans have a very like distinct like kind of like brood they make. Like they could be anything in a way, but they tend to have like certain like one tends to be very armory, and then like one's like sort of like, you know, very like Emrakul's very tentacly. So it's like I'm wondering if this is like supposed to be like the a new Eldrazi Titan, maybe one that focuses like kind of like on bone. Also, the bone thing is interesting because I think one of the artists said that like Emrakul's like aesthetic is based on like teeth, like parts of a teeth or something. Anyway, no, he's right beside her. Nothing came close to him. The smaller tangle of his rebreather still covers both his nostrils, unbroken. His armor is impeccable, but his skull's been smashed, broken apart. He's gone. He's dead. She lost one of her squad. Impossible. Dornock and Rakuro both gape, and Rakuro looks like she's about to speak or scream, but there's no vibration, almost like a voice, making it sound almost like a word. But the sound isn't coming from the radio or the air. It's inside Ferricatolar's head, and she can see it from the wincing, and the others hear it too. Seems like Eldrazi shit. Like Eldrazi do have like weird psychic shit. Come fight, Rokoro screams at the hallway. Coward, come out and fight. Stop, Fericatola orders. Rokoro stops screaming. She keeps her axe high. Raging, burning, still scanning the empty quarters for someone to kill. The vibration makes another sound, not quite a word, then warps and rises and collapses into an abrupt, painful silence. Fericatola tries the radio again. She's never lost someone under her command before, and never dreamed it would be like this. So sudden, so senseless. Protocol tries to assert itself. She needs to report the casualty, have the body retrieved. Good luck getting that body back. More than that, she needs some idea of what could possibly have killed him, where the danger is, where the artifact is, and how the rest of them can get out of here alive. The radio is silent. Motion catches Fericatola's eye, but it's only Dornoch twitching. Maybe he took too many of his combat potions, and without a battle, all the energy has nowhere to go. But a dog growl rumbles at his throat, and he's moving too much, twisting about like he's on fire. Are you hurt? She imagines Dornoch's skull suddenly cracking like Tukalok's. Ugh, no. Don't wanna twist awkwardly. I need to shed. I need to shit. Rokoro gives me an exasperated look. Two women get back at the ship. Catola says that's not important now. No, right? Dornoch says, still withering. Catola carefully taps the beacon on Tukalok's armor and hopes that they might be able to return and claim his body. His grab boots will keep him locked to the spot. However, the rest of them will need to move forward. We'll go this way. Catola puts authority into her voice, as if confident can override the sudden senseless death that might lurk behind any or all of these doors. And she's not just picking a door at random. They need a direction more than anything. They need her to be a leader. If we come to another corridor, we'll keep... What are you doing? Dornoch is clawing at himself, panting. I need to what? I need to shed. The gash he tears in his armor is deep and wide. The full power of his potion glows through him. Depth to Fericatola's order to stop. Dornoch scratches and scrapes out his bare violent scales until they seep with green blood. Oh, they mean literally. I thought you meant he had shit. I guess there are like lizard people, so I guess, or lizard-esque people, so. His bare violent scales until they seep with green blood, scratches them more, turns them off. Rokoro grabs his arms, tries to hold him down, but he struggles from her grasp, shredding the remains of his armor with his bare claws. Fericatola lunges for him, but he steps aside. Drew stepped in too quick. He claws at his face, grabbing one of his fangs and snaps it off. He then screams and runs down the corridor, scrapes his armor and skin flying. Fericatola and Rokoro run after him, but with the stimulus pumping through him, his speed is incredible. They're not going to catch him, but they keep on him, even after he's too far ahead. Down too many different doors in this horrible maze, they can follow him easily. A trail of torn off bits floats in the air ahead of them. Scales, blood, bone. Won't be anything left of him, even if they ever catch up. Endless corridors and doors and corridors. They run. They go through one door just like the rest, then a vast open space. They both stumble to a clinging halt. They're standing on a metal scaffolding over an enormous open area, an area that looks too big to be contained, even within the massive structure they landed on. It's beautiful, lit by swirling lights curved up and down and around in all directions, spherical like the inside of an enormous orb. And they're so far away, Fericatola can barely make it out. A small floating platform at the center of the massive space, the artifact. How could it have Fericatola starts, but her gaze is caused by a movement beyond the artifact. On the far side of the spherical space, the distance is so great that it has its own texture. But you can see how it swirls spread across the curved wall in the distance, a rising blue flood of emotion. The swirl expands, growing and growing, curving around the outer edge of the space, until it covers the entire hemisphere ahead of them and is coming towards them from all sides. What is that? Rokoro asks. But by the time the words leave her mouth, they can already tell it is not just one thing. It is millions of things. Millions and millions of tiny insects twitches of motion coming at them. Mechans are living creatures. They can't tell. It doesn't matter. It's an unstoppable tide floating towards them from all directions. Rokoro tries to run back to the door, but it won't open. She shouts and claws at it and takes her axe to it, hacking and hacking. Fericatola turns back to the orb at the center and jumps on the railing towards it. An impulse, a desperate choice, but suddenly, impossibly, she is right there, as if she had never been any real distance between her and the platform with the artifact. She looks back at Rokoro, hoping she has time to order her to jump to follow, but there is no time. Rokoro swings her axe uselessly, covering and drying in tiny things. They crash over her, and again swirl to envelop and cocoon her. Then they keep rolling, wrapping her over each other in waves, compressing and condensing tighter and tighter until the whole impossible mass of them is only a single point. Then gone. Oh, okay, that's not what I was expecting. Again, this does feel more like Eldrazi shit, like this weird shit. Like I remember Eldrazi, like some of the Eldrazi, like on like Zendikar, like make you like turn back into a fetus, basically. It's like reverse age until you died. So this wouldn't be like the weirdest shit. But this is the only way this makes sense to me, because they brought the Eldrazi and the Fomori. I guess the Fomori might have technology that can do it, but I'd be very surprised if it took this form. I think it's more like it'd be some weird new Eldrazi thing. For a long time, Fericatola can't look away. There's nothing where Rokoro should be. Gone. Again. So suddenly. So senselessly. She always thought there would be a moment when she could save them. Always thought she could keep them together, on mission, safe, alive. She feels her own failure as acutely as if she'd been impaled by an energy blade. This was her fault. This was her mission. She failed. She lost her squad. No. Haranor is alive. Maybe. She tries the radio again. There's a doorway on the far side of the orb. She can just see it through the distance. Maybe she can jump again and reach it, but the artifact is here on this little pedestal, on this platform with her. She can't flee without it. They have the ship and the artifact. The mission can still succeed. The radio hisses. She can hear Haranor's voice, but no words. Haranor, I found the artifact. I need extraction. She can hear him speaking, but he isn't responding to her. He's mumbling a rhythmic phrase she can't make out. Repeat. I have the artifact. I need extraction. The rhythmic phrase repeats again, and only after the connection crackles out does she recognize the pattern of the phrases. It's the desperate mumblings of a prayer. She lets the radio fade. The artifact, that's all she can care about now. She'll just have to grab it and head for the far doorway. Find her way to the outer shell of destruction and reconnect with Haranor once there's a clearer signal. That's what she'll do. That's all she can do. She reaches for the orb. Her hand goes through the blue swirls as she stumbles off balance. In the open space above her, Think huge moves when she reaches through the orb, but she looks up. There is nothing. The sound that's almost like a voice buzzes through in her head again, wordlessly. The image of White Bow and of Tuckaluk's skull rises in her mind. Clear and immediate. The sound buzzes again. Her own skull feels like it would crack open so easily. Pressure reaches pain, but the vibration trembles and changes, congeals from chaotic sounds into words spoken in expressionless voice. Escape is incorrect. The voice seems to come from inside Farrakatolor's own body, but she stares at the artifact. Escape is incorrect. Escape leads to chaos. Chaos is incorrect. Chaos must be corrected. From the many, there must be one. One var. Inevitable 24. Correct. So this is probably referring to the Chaos Wall, but I'm wondering if maybe it's something that's trying to unite the multiverse into one giant thing. But it could also be an Eldrazi, like an Eldrazi, like some group of Eldrazi obsessive like order of some sort. Because we do know, because Ugin does suspect that Eldrazi might have like some sort of part in like the multiversal ecosystem. So I'm wondering if it's like maybe this is some like remnants of the Eldrazi that like wants to bring order to like a chaotic universe. Farrakatola hears only her own breath, quick and shallow, in the silence that follows. The Var, it is an old myth. It is a myth of a myth. The Var who ran from the Eldrazi, the Var who fled into their virtual world. Oh, hold on. The hide held their high. A virtual world so disconnected from this one that only a few spots of it remain in reality. Okay, that's actually a pretty interesting concept. Nodes, a solid physical space connected to the vastness of the Var's knowledge, 1 billion times rarer than Moxite. Okay, that's way different than I thought. So maybe not Eldrazi, maybe just like weird internet, super advanced internet shit. I call it internet, this is reductive, but an artifact worthy of all their sacrifices. The crack in Tuckaluk's skull, Dornoch tearing himself apart, the storm encasing Rakuro. This would make their mission worth even those horrors. The answer to Haranor's prayers. Farrakatolor can't look away from the orb, the node, if she can contain it, but put it somehow in the Cav's power. She reaches out for the orb again, letting her hand slip through what must be the outer protection, and reaches blindly for the core inside. Her body is pierced. It feels only like the pressure for a moment, accompanied by the sound of her armor breaking. But when the pain comes, the agony is pure and total and overwhelms all else. She jerks her hand out of the orb. Green blood. Her claws are covered in green blood. Dazed with pain, she pushes a single claw beyond the swirling blue surface of the orb. Above her appears a blood-covered claw, massive and monstrous. She jerks her hand away and the massive thing vanishes. She's in the orb already inside the node. Green blood flows through space around her and and drops in ribbons. This is the core, the node, in the orb with her. Spots like burned metal appear across her vision, widening. She's losing too much blood to think straight. The voices speak again, but the words are only vibrations. Insects. Specks of blood floating around her head. She needs to focus. She needs the orb. The Cav need the orb. They need every vantage. They are bouncing on the edge of destruction. She stumbles forward. She stumbles forward and reaches through the orb again. There's something small inside. She's weak and dizzy, but nothing matters except the artifact. She grasps the thing and grabs it. Won't let it get away. She can feel herself being crushed. She can hear her bones crunching. Can taste the bitterness of her blood, but she won't let go. She holds on, keeps holding on, harder and harder. Keeps closing her fist tighter and tighter until there's nothing left. That was not what I was fucking expecting. Like a horror, like existential horror thing was not what I was expecting for the like Edge of Eternities story. Well, great work by RJ Taylor. Like holy shit. But so that was, you know, your average Magic the Gathering story. you know, what can you say? I was kind of hoping there'd be more art for me to like look through and talk about. That's kind of why I was reading. So I probably won't read all of them. I'll probably just read the rest of them in my own time. When the set comes out, I probably will do like a TB Skyline sort of thing where maybe I sit down and go through each of the card art like individually. And I don't know, maybe I'll stream a draft or something because I think that could be fun. I do next month. I do want to try to like stream more. I would like to, so I'm thinking about because I'm probably gonna stream like I already stream Valorant and Persona. I also have like OC stuff I could stream. Like I have a lot of stuff I could just read out on stream if anyone's curious about like Magic, my thoughts on Magic, like TMA or something. So maybe I'll start doing that. We'll see. It's kind of a shorter stream, but relatively. I would play Persona or something, but I'm kind of tired. It's kind of late, so we'll stop for now. I'll see you guys next time.